Okay, I'm going to attempt to do something that is never been done before. No, I don't know about that, but it definitely isn't something easy to find, and that is actually visualizing, putting on video how to replace the Serpentine belt on 6.7 liter Powerstroke. And I think the reason why it has not been videoed very well is because it's practically impossible to do given the extreme lack of space available to do the job itself, and just the difficult location in which you find it. So I'm going to see what I can do. We'll see if it works or not. If not, I will have to abandon the videoing because I do need to get the job done, but otherwise I will see if I can get this thing sorted. So the first part of the job is to remove the air filter, which is this large box here that goes over to the engine. So we'll quickly pull that thing out and get started. Everything I need for that particular portion of the job is just an 8mm. Spin these guys off of here. Pull it back. Move this out of the way. Have a clip here for the mass airflow sensor. And then there is, well, I don't know if they're the same for all. There's one bolt right down here for holding the air filter in place. This is an S&B intake. I think the general design in terms of how they bolt in here is the same, whether it's factory or S&B or whatever, but I cannot guarantee that because I have not played a lot with these things. So the trickiest thing is just to get in there to get a hold of this. Magnets are helpful for that particular purpose. So set my wrench aside and then bring it up, slip it out from underneath the battery terminal wire, and it just comes right out. After setting that aside, I now have what looks like a lot more space. So let's go in a little bit closer. See if I can get it aimed for maximum visibility here. Okay, so zoomed in pretty tight. Okay, so I'm trying to see here is this connector right down here. There is a bracket that goes from the engine block to the fan clutch right here, and I need to pull the bolt, and I think it's 15 mil. Double check that. I think it's a 15 mil bolt right here. I need to pull that from the engine side so that I can move this whole thing out of the way because it goes through the middle of where the belt sits. Now the rest of the belt wraps around the engine in such a way that I do not have to try and get it around this fan clutch, but this goes through the middle. So I have to try and get that out. The idea is going to be to get down on this bolt. I'll be damned, it was a 13. It just wasn't quite the right angle. I can't get it. Just simply cannot get it. All right, well, I need to remove the idler pulleys anyway, because I'm replacing those. So maybe if I remove this upper idler pulley, it'll give me enough clearance that I can get this thing off of here. So take my tensioner bar, push it as far as I can, release it. I'll take the tension off of this idler. Okay, loosen that one up. All right. Let's see, there we go. Yeah. It's pretty sloppy. Sloppy enough that I definitely feel like replacing it isn't a bad thing. Okay, so that gives me a little bit more room to work with. So let's see if I can get this thing off of here. I'm not thrilled about this. I feel like that thing is not wanting to come off of there. Awfully tight. There's a little bushing that connects those two sides, and that bushing does not look happy at all. Well, I have disconnected those two pieces. I think technically I could probably squeeze the belt through there, even though I think we should be pulling that other bolt off of there. I'll be honest, I'm not confident I'm going to be able to get that bolt off of there. It's not very big, and it is requiring big torque. Such a little bolt. Yeah, I'm kind of done with that. I think I'm gonna go this way. See how, I don't know if you can see that on there, but there's a little bushing right there that connects this connector, which is on a swivel, to it, and I just slipped it out. It's plastic and it's flexible. I just slipped it out from there, which gives me space, hopefully enough space to work. So I'm gonna go with that. I know it's not ideal, but it's all I have really at this point, so I'm going with it. So now I'm gonna commit. I am going to loosen this belt back up again, and I am going to commit to removal of it. So here we go. It comes off of water pump, AC on the bottom. I think it's loose now, so I don't have to hold this anymore. And then after it comes off the water pump at the bottom, or the air compressor, at the bottom. And it immediately jumps right back up again. Comes off of okay, and some other mystery unit, but anyway, it comes up and over underneath that, comes back around a second idler pulley, and then drops down under the power steering and over top of the alternator and straight across the top of the engine. Okay, so there's that crazy ass belt, minus getting it around this little connector. So I wrap it around the connector, let go, see that? I don't know if you can see that. Around the front of the connector, pops right out. Almost like magic, but a lot harder than magic. And now I just need to switch out that other idler pulley. Of course I should have. Now I got the idler pulleys because I felt like they were the noisiest units I had on here. But it turns out that I probably should replace the tensioner as well. Not what I wanted to have to do, but since I have it all pulled apart, I think replacing the tensioner as well is a good plan. So let me see if I can get this idler pulley out. Yep. That is definitely the bad one. The worst of them, anyway. To pull it loose. It's so close to the fan that I have to actually move the blades. Not ideal. Whew. Okay. Yeah. That bearing is shot. Man, when I tested it, I thought that the movement in these bearings was the main culprit, but not the issue. At this point, I need to start putting things back together again. Let's see if I can get some light down in there. I need to put my idler pulley back on over here. getting around that back side with the new belt. So, let's see if I can get this thing on there. Very awkward angle, but it's going, so that's a good thing. Okay, finger tight. Let's try putting it tight. Now, take the new belt and put it over this little piece in the middle here. Connector, bracket. So it is going to go first. It's over this. Yeah. I want it to go over this first big pulley at the very bottom. Once I get it over that, and it comes back around. Frankly, I think if you do not have this tool right here, which is supposed to be, it's like a belt, manipulation tool. I don't know if you're going to be able to do this at all, because it is very tricky. From here, we go over the idler pulley, and then down. But you have to push it past the little cooling fins or whatever, the airflow fins that are on the outside of this belt, or this fan shroud. So I came up with that, but it is torture. Okay, so I have those pieces on. I have to get it around this lower one. Wiggling it, it should go on there, and it is in fact on there, on the far side. Now I have to try and get the near side around the crankshaft without pulling it off of far end. Okay, goes up around the tensioner and then back down to the air conditioner compressor. But I feel like I have the hard part done. So I am going to jinx my entire process by reattaching this weird little gizmo here. That holds the fan bracket in place. Just push it on there, take that white plastic bit, push it down, locks it into place. That belt is on perfectly on the far side. So that's the trick to it, is just making sure that you can get past that bracket, whatever that means for your particular situation. Mine meant that I had to take it off over at this far side because I couldn't get that bolt out. I think that bolt is for more than just the bracket. I think it has something to do with the water pump in the front right there. And it was more than I'd bargained for to try and get that off of there, so that's okay. I don't think it was really meant to come off that way anyway. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing finished up. This is fast forwarded to the next day, and I now have my new tensioner with the idler pulley that's on the tensioner, which was bad before. Let's see if we can get this back in here. There are two little knobs on the bottom of the tensioner that line up with like holes, and to get those in there, you just have to thread the bolt in, which is done. Okay, now let's see if I can tighten it down a bit. I'm thinking the designers just assumed that everybody was going to be pulling the whole front of the vehicle off anytime they wanted to work on the engine, which is like, who the hell's going to pull the whole front of the vehicle off for a belt? That's crazy. Let's see if my ratcheting box wrench will get in there and do anything with this. The old one was a 15, this one's a 13. Okay, time for more fishing. So I need to bring the belt over the top of this, and then I have to go back down again. maybe I could bring it up on the top there. Go. Okay. Okay. I have to get it back on the crank pulley again. All right, this is really frustrating. This very brief moment in time, the belt is mostly on. I just need to get the thing to tighten down. On the far side, while not letting loose on the near side. And I need to be able to reach down pull the slack up. Toward the tensioner pulley. Come on. Need some visual here. Okay, so reach down in here, hook onto the tensioner, push it down, so now I can't see anything. Kind of sort of on there. I just have to align these pulleys right here. Just trying to align this last pulley down here low. I think that did it. So, just add that last pulley and take out that last bit of slack and it should be good to go. Okay, last one is on there. Take the tensioner tool second time. Loosen this up. Bend it underneath. Oof. Yeah, might be easier said than done. Damn, boy. They definitely do not give you a whole lot of slack in this thing. There we go. That's gonna do it. Just loosen it a little bit again. There we go. Oh, doggies. And that is a ridiculously difficult and convoluted process of installing the belt on the 6.7 liter Powerstroke for, that was way too much work. It's got to have been a couple of hours I spent on this. Normally you get to the Serpentine belt and you're like, shoot, this project is over. Not this one. Before I put the rest of it back together again, I'm going to tap the ignition a couple of times, see if it'll spin without falling off of there. Okay, belt is still on there, looks nicely seated. I think we can call that job done. Wow, that was impressive. If you've ever wondered how to change the Serpentine belt on 6.7 liter Powerstroke, that'll get it done. But it is not, I repeat, it is not an easy job. Not at all. So, not for the faint of heart. I would put that one like at a degree of difficulty for mechanical work on a vehicle. I'd put that at a solid 6. Usually Serpentine belt is going to be a 2. Like a 1 is changing out a battery when it's under the hood like this, or putting in a new headlight bulb. Except not for this truck, because you have to take the whole front of the truck off. But for most vehicles, replacing a headlight bulb is a 1, and a Serpentine belt is a 2. This one was a solid 6. This one was tough. You had to use some tricks and some tools. Whenever you have to use a specialized tool just to do something basic like this, you've just upped the degree of difficulty for sure. So normally I don't even use this type of a tool for this one right here. Do not use that for loosening a tensioner. I just use a ratchet or a breaker bar. But this one I had to use a special tool because the ratchet and breaker bar were too short and I didn't have the clearance I needed in order to get in there. So I had to get a long handle tool. This little guy right here, my little hook tool, I call it the bent fork. You're not going to use that for anything except a Serpentine belt, and I've literally never had a Serpentine belt before this that I absolutely had to have that tool for. But this time I think I would have likely never gotten this on here if I hadn't done that. So anyway, job done. All you got to do is put the air intake back on it again. So I'll go straight down and then around the cable there. You should be able to drop it into the slot. Push this rubber gasket back over. We're good to go. Before I forget this one, drop that little guy down in there. Done. This one goes back on here. There's the airflow sensor. Push the little red tab in, lock it in place. wake you up.